A neo-Nazi demonstration outside the New South Wales Parliament caused outrage over the weekend. Roughly 60 members of the National Socialist Network gathered, brandishing a banner that read, "Abolish the Jewish lobby." The New South Wales Police did not oppose the demonstration. Police did seek legal advice about blocking the protest, but were told it was unlikely to succeed in court. The New South Wales Premier has suggested laws should be changed to prevent further similar protests. New South Wales Police Commissioner Lanyon joins me now. Police Commissioner, welcome.
Good evening, Sarah.
How does an application from neo-Nazis to protest in that place not reach you for a decision?
Yes, certainly. It's probably worth speaking through the process. Under the Summary Offences Act, which is what we deal with in this space there, people looking to conduct a protest or a public assembly lodge a Form 1. That Form 1 sets out what the protest is about, the number of people, where it's going to be. We then assess that with what we know to be the legislation, but also what we know of the group that are doing it.
But that wasn't you doing the assessing. Why was that?
Because we've delegated that to commanders. It's probably worth pointing out that we have over 1,000 protests so far this year that we've managed. Last year we had 1,500, so it's a significant number. Our police do a really professional job of managing protests.
But wouldn't you expect a request like that to reach you so that you can brief the Premier?
Yeah, certainly one that is so high profile, I would have expected to have been briefed on. I'm very disappointed that I wasn't.
So what went wrong?
It was a communication error. We've certainly addressed that. I've also taken steps to improve governance and coordination within the Office of the Commissioner. We need to make sure these things don't happen. We are a very large organisation, obviously with a volume of information coming through, and I want to make sure that I'm certainly over those matters of significance.
But had it reached you, notwithstanding, as I said, a neo-Nazi organisation putting forward an application for a protest with that banner, "Abolish the Jewish lobby," if you had seen it, would you have been able to stop it?
I can say that I'm supportive of the decision that was made in this instance. As I said, what was on the Form 1, talking about abolishing the Jewish lobby, but also the hate speech legislation that was there. The legislation as it stands at the moment, generally the grounds that we would oppose it is on public safety or a significant disruption to the public. And then obviously the behaviour of that group when we have dealt with them previously, there was nothing there to indicate there was a risk to public safety.
But the Premier said today, if we had our time again, that rally would not have taken place. He's saying he could have prevented it. Is he wrong about that?
We can only deal with the legislation we have. I think I've been fairly straightforward on the reasons that it was assessed that way. I most likely would have sought a prospects of objecting to that matter in the Supreme Court. But as I said, our normal grounds would be public safety and also disruption.
So you think there were grounds to take it to the Supreme Court?
No, I said I would have asked to see whether there were sufficient grounds to take it to the Supreme Court.
The organiser of this rally, the one named on the application, he was filmed recently by Channel 9 saying he and all the men in his organisation were racist and neo-Nazis. How is a person like that approved to hold any kind of public event in New South Wales?
Yeah, unfortunately, the Summary Offences Act really balances the rights of people to protest and free speech.
Is that balance out of kilter, in your opinion?
That's not for me to comment. The legislation is, and we apply the legislation, but it does balance public safety. As you'd be aware, we have opposed applications before when we weren't satisfied the public safety could be measured.
Now, the Premier said today that laws need to change. What is it that the police would want to see to make those laws work better so we don't end up in a situation where not just the Jewish community but the community as a whole is left shocked and outraged by what they saw?
Yeah, I think we would very much work closely with the government just to see how these things happen. I understand the deep distress of the Jewish community. I truly do, and obviously we work very closely with senior leaders within the Jewish community.
What do you need, though, in the Offences Act to change to enable you to more easily prevent something like that happening?
It's probably not for me to determine exactly what that is. I'll work with government. As I said, the Summary Offences Act is very broad in terms of what it permits. It does look very favourably on people's rights to protest and free speech.
How is it possible that we've arrived at a situation where the police do not have the powers to prevent wannabe Nazis from demonstrating in that manner? How did we end up here, do you think?
To be honest, I think social cohesion is a big challenge for the entire country and, to be honest, the globe. There was an assessment done by the director of ASIO the other night where he said it's one of our great challenges. Division, intolerance that we see, I find the actions of this group absolutely reprehensible. but obviously we have to work within legislation as police.
Is there any, you're talking about the comments made by Mike Burgess of ASIO, I'll just quote them here. He said that the National Socialist Network is anti-immigrant, anti-Indigenous, anti-gay, anti-Jew, anti-Islam. He said, I'm deeply concerned by its hateful, divisive rhetoric, and this is important, and increasingly violent propaganda. So what do police want to see to give you the tools to combat what he's talking about, propaganda, but also violent propaganda?
So what Mr Burgess was referring to, I believe, has been some of the actions of the group in Victoria. We have not seen that violence up here. They have been compliant with us in a previous protest, and our dealings with them have not shown that violence. We're really asking for tolerance and respect from all groups within the community. We want a harmonious community. As a police force, we will ensure public safety. If people commit offences in protests, we will take decisive action.
Was there hate speech used at the rally?
We're currently investigating that at the moment. We will have legal experts have a look at it to determine whether it fits the hate speech legislation.
For example, the use of the chant often associated with the Hitler Youth, blood and honour.
That's certainly something we'll have a legal opinion sought on.
The Premier said they were spouting fascist ideology. That sounds like hate speech. You're not sure yet.
I think we need to work through it. Hate speech is quite a complex piece of legislation and there's an intent factor that we need to work through. It's completely abhorrent, the types of things that they stand for. And as a police force, we protect the rights of citizens. So we want to keep the community safe. If there is action we can take, we absolutely will.
Is that what's wrong with the form that they were expected, in fact required to submit, that there is no proper examination of the intent, the real intent, not the intent that these people claim that is the reason for their demonstration? So
as a police, we actually assess the form as it exists, so what's put in the form, but then we very much look at the behaviour of the participants, and that's what we're looking for. So if action needs to be taken, if they become violent, if there is obvious hate speech used during a protest, we'll take immediate action. But the way things stand at the moment, obviously we're not going to see any change to that legislation, certainly before Christmas. Is there anything to prevent a series of similar rallies with similarly offensive behaviour and slogans used again? So part of investigating so thoroughly the weekend's activities is we will actually look at the actions. If there are offences, that is something that I would look at when I speak to our legal people to say, can we oppose a next rally? Obviously, legislation's a matter for government and we'll work very closely with government. We want to support the community. You said you're disappointed with the decision not to bring it to you. Do you understand why the decision was taken? Was this rally, were the organisers not taken seriously enough by your colleagues in the police? No, I think there was an honest mistake made. It was a communication error. I'm satisfied the appropriate process was followed in terms of the Form 1. I'm satisfied that a police presence was planned. And we're actually there monitoring that rally. All right, we'll see what happens when you finish your investigation. But in the meantime, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. It's a pleasure, Sarah. Thank you.